Have you ever been bumbling around your local grocery store and thought to yourself, how did all of this abundance of produce get here? Well, we might have some little friends to thank for that. I think we all know by now that bees have a lot to do with the production of food, but we keep hearing, save the bees. So what does that mean? I'm Kate and I want to know, what's the deal with bees?
I met up with hobby beekeeper Michelle Wolfson to get some answers. Michelle showed me around some of her hives, even letting me handle the bees, and taught me some valuable insights on all pollinators.
Honeybees increase America's crop value alone by about $15 billion every year. And in the US, there's about 2.6 million hives with tens of thousands of bees per hive. That's a lot of numbers, but more importantly, that's a lot of honeybees. So why do they need saving? And what do they have to do with native pollinators?
In Ontario, honeybees are a relative newcomer. They've only been here for around 400 years.
Okay.
And those first honeybees would have come across overseas on ships from Europe or from Africa. And so the honeybees, when they came over, they were already in a piece of equipment that a beekeeper could manage. And so the honeybee came over as a managed species, and they are considered livestock. So we need to realize that when we say saving the bees, what we're talking about is saving the bees that don't have someone to take care of them. So we're talking about saving the wasps and the mason bees and the carpenter bees and all those other bees that don't live in boxes.
So when we think about bees, we all think about honey, right? But it's funny, there's about 20,000 species of bees in the world, and only around 800 of those species actually make honey. That's only 4%. Why do people not talk about the difference between native bees and honeybees? Why is there sort of no understanding?
So certainly within the beekeeper community there is.
Yeah.
I think that the honeybee has been the glamour girl for a lot of marketing campaigns. When the food manufacturer puts the honeybee onto the breakfast cereal and says, if you purchase this breakfast cereal, you'll be helping the bees, but then there's an image of a honeybee, then they have misled the customer into thinking that somehow saving the bees or doing, positive things for bees involves honeybees. And it's because the bees are the glamour girls, right? They produce the honey. So it's been difficult to raise the, the social status of the mason bee or the carpenter bee or the wasp, because they don't do, they don't make honey. So I think it's just a public misconception.
So they don't make honey, but are they helpful with plants and pollination?
Gosh, without the rest of the pollinators, we wouldn't be here either.
Yeah.
Every single one of the pollinators has a very, very intricate and specific role, because if they didn't, evolution would have made them obsolete. So anything you see is there very intentionally, and nature has, is making sure that they survive, and that's why they're there.
So because honeybees can be kept, they're actually transported from farm to farm to help farmers with their crops throughout the year. And the thing that makes them different from native bees is that native bees will live where they will. They can't be kept. What is the difference then between wild native bees that have been here for longer than the 400 years compared to the honeybees?
Most native bees live rather solitary lives. There isn't a community that is gathering nectar for the whole colony. Native bees are going to be sporadic all across your backyard. Their bumblebees often are in your leaf litter, and these bees are living all in little environments all over the place, but they all live separately. And in the winter, the queens go underground and they actually hibernate, and the rest of the colony dies off completely.
Wow.
But the honeybees survive on the nectar that they have collectively collected over the whole season.
Yeah.
And so they don't die off. They just stay inside and consume their honey very slowly when the weather is too cold for them to forage and there's nothing for them to forage on.
Yeah. So less than 8% of bees are actually considered social. So that huge majority live alone. A lot of them living underground, not in hives the way that we think of them. What types of bee are living in here?
It's only Apis mellifera, but the bees' role within the hive changes as they age.
Okay.
So they emerge from their cell, and the first thing they need to do is clean and polish their cell so that it's ready to receive the next egg. And then the bee will take on nursing responsibilities.
Okay.
So they will produce the royal jelly, and they will be feeding the nurse bees. The next is a wax producer. So the honeycomb is made by wax that is produced from the abdomen in between the platelets on the bees.
Wow.
So as the bees produce the wax, other bees will take it from them, and they will use their mandibles to chew it and manipulate it, and then that's how they build the honeycomb. Then the bees go on to, we're going to call them more advanced, but they're older roles. One of the things they will do is thermoregulate the hive. They need to cool it when it's really hot, and they need to heat it up over the course of the winter. So in the winter, they are vibrating their flight muscles to maintain the colony at, say, 21 degrees when the queen isn't laying. And during the summer, they have to keep that colony at where the queen is laying at around 34 degrees. So they're still doing that. But then when we have really strong heat waves, they'll bring in water, and then they will fan the combs, and that evaporation will cool the combs.
Wow.
Then they become undertaker bees. So when a honeybee dies, if they die inside the hive, then the undertaker bees will remove those bees and will take them out. Then the last step before foraging, because we haven't even talked about bringing anything into the hive yet, is a guard bee. And the guard bees will line themselves up on the entrance of the hive, facing out, and they will evaluate all the incoming insects coming into the hive. Their sisters carrying pollen, nectar, water, or propolis will be allowed in, but a neighboring bee might not be from a neighboring hive because they don't smell right, and also wasps and mice, moths, anything else trying to get in, bumblebees even sometimes, they will keep them out. And the last job that a honeybee has is a forager, and the foragers are going to be leaving the colony to look for water, pollen, nectar, and propolis.
Wow.
So, why save the bees?
When I have kids come into the apiary, little kids, they're 100% fascinated by what they see, and they're like a blank slate. Even though they may approach the hive with a little bit of trepidation because they're concerned about stinging, very quickly, as soon as they actually get up close and learn about what's going on within the community, within that colony, they become completely engrossed, and whatever fears they had just evaporate. And the kids, they learn about the role of the honeybee in pollination and about native pollinators and pollination. And if we can be more like the children and appreciate what's going on within our landscape, and not just with the honeybees, with all of the pollinators, and make them a higher priority for our decision making, then we can take that very genuine, naive, innocent view of the pollinators as these magnificent, wonderful, wonderful creatures, and we can work our solutions from a political level to help maintain an environment where they thrive. Because when they're thriving, we're all thriving. They're what's keeping us alive.
Yeah.
Give them some respect, because they're what's keeping us alive on here.
It's true. I love that. Thank you so much, Michelle. I really appreciate it. This is awesome. So the next time you're out enjoying the great outdoors, even in an urban place, take a minute and think about our friendly little pollinators. I've added a few links in the description below if you want to learn any more about honeybees, native bees, or even regenerative farming. And as always, feel free to do your own research from trustworthy sources to learn more. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. But until then, I'm Kate, and I guess that's the deal with bees. If you want to learn what's the deal with any other topic, Comment below, and it just might be my next video.